Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Cyberpunk fans rejoice. What if I told you that in the world of Cyberpunk 77, you had a chance to alter the course of destiny and save Jackie Wells from his terrible fate, as well as make other changes to the universe that I know a lot of you have been dying to do? Well, that is exactly the case in Cyberpunk 2077, the board game. This is a new game coming to GameFound from Lucas Wozniak and Go On Board Games, and it is a 1 to 4 player board game that is going to allow you the opportunity to play an alternate history of the world of Cyberpunk 2077. If you haven't already played the world of Cyberpunk 2077, it's not required that you play, but if you are a fan of the game, you are definitely not going to want to miss this. This offers an alternative history. Instead of you and Jackie, or you as V, of course you can play as V in this game, but instead of you and Jackie going into Konpeki Plaza at this critical moment that resolves in the course of history being altered for both of these characters, left to a very grim fate, and I'll leave it at that. You have the opportunity to play through this storyline, which represents them getting a call from a mysterious stranger warning them of future events to come and suggesting alternative methods to their quest towards being a legend of Night City. And that's kind of where our prologue sort of picks up in this game. You have the opportunity to now have an alternate route that does not involve Jackie or V dying, but rather allying with heroes like Panam Palmer and Judy Alvarez. And now all of a sudden you have a 1 to 4 player game where you are taking the roles of some of these iconic legends of Night City, and especially of the game Cyberpunk 2077, and you're basically doing a cooperative board game trying to go on different missions and get a lot of the same information, but in a much safer way, hopefully, where V and Jackie Wells don't end up with a miserable fate. And now the power is in your hands to take control of these heroes and explore this newly revisited world of Cyberpunk 2077. If you like what you see here, we're going to have links in the video description below where you can check out and learn more, pledge, back the game, and check out all of the campaign page for this and any other expansions or stretch goals that might happen and all of that stuff, which sometimes happens with those crowdfunding games, which is a very cool thing. So I also want to warn you that everything that you're going to see here is a prototype, so is all subject to change, but this is going to give you an idea of how the game plays and what you can expect. So if you like what you see here, I also want you to stick around, click that subscribe button. We have giveaways that are running all the time. Make sure you check those out. Check the links in the video description below, all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and dive into Cyberpunk 2077, the board game. Now, Cyberpunk 2077, the board game, has a variety of different mechanics. On its surface, it's going to be a little bit like a dungeon crawl. You are going to have really nicely detailed miniatures. We've got Panam Palmer right here with her sniper rifle. She is getting ready to shoot through walls and take enemies out at a distance, which is really cool. We've got Judy Alvarez here with her quick hacks. Really nice looking model. These are two, of course, of the most beloved characters in the game, and I'm glad that they're both included. That's an important thing to include in iconic characters into the game. And of course, Jackie Wells here, running and gunning. He is your muscle, and he is very, very strong in close quarters. And of course, you have V. Now, the cool thing about this is you have the option to play as male or female V. And there's also a Mantis Blades version of V that you can definitely check out on the Kickstarter launch page in the video description below. We're just showing off the basic versions of V and female V, male V and female V here. Of course, I'll probably play as male V, although I've played through the game as both male and female V. My first playthrough was male V. My second playthrough, where I 100%ed the game, was with female V. And then I'm playing a third playthrough now where I'm going back to male V again. So trying different backgrounds and stuff again. But that's the video game. But it's the world. It's this universe. So it's very, very accurate to this universe. So very cool stuff. Now, the difference between male and female V is really just the miniature. It's just aesthetics. There's no gameplay difference. V's character is actually very well-rounded in this game. And we're going to talk about the cards, and because there's also a deck building aspect to this game as well. Every square on the board is a movement space, so your characters are going to be able to move whenever you have movement available. There's going to be doors that they can open and then close. There's going to be loot tiles that they can pick up, and that give them different things, such as potentially stat modifiers or extra skill shards and things like that. And then you have enemy miniatures, and like Arasaka goons and stuff like that, which is really cool. Now these have this awesome little base system here that they can rest in, so you can move the whole miniature this way, and you have their health tracker on this little dial here. So as they take wounds, all of a sudden they'll go down, and then they are kaput, and then potentially they get jacked into Soul Killer, and then you suck up their soul, and then they're gone forever. But that's that's a different story. So let's go ahead and look at some of the character boards to show how you're going to manage and move these guys around the board to accomplish their missions. All right, so here we've got Jackie Wells. Now the character boards are about all the same. You have different cards, so we can put Jackie's card in here. If I was running, Judy Alvarez or Female V or Pan Am Palmer or any of those other characters, got V with Mantis Blades there. Now the current Mantis Blades V is only showing on the male version, but it works for either version. There's just 2 Mantis Blade cards that you kind of put in their deck, so you can put that into either one. But basically, you have a board here that's going to have your health, your dice pool can go in here, your RAM for quick hacks is going to go down here, and then your basic stats are going to go over here. You have spots for crafting, extra skill shards over here, and all of these things. Now, your different colored cards here are going to correspond to your different stats, body, cool, tech, etc. But basically, what you need to know to start playing is that the colors are the most important part. So when you play a red card, you're going to reference your stat over here. Now, as you gain more stats, you may put a second cube down for red, which is basically your strength, your toughness, your brute force, your shooting, your ability to deal damage. And now, if I play this card, there's different symbols here, and they're all going to be referenced in the rulebook, but different symbols like do 1 damage to an enemy, or roll your die and then do that, which can potentially be more than 1 damage to an enemy, or here, which is movement. Movement is white colored because it can appear on all different colors of cards. But normally at your base stat, where you have only 1 skill at the beginning of the game, you'll only be able to do the very top line on the card. But later on in the game, as you gain more and more abilities, for example, if I had 3 in red, when I play this card, I'll now be able to do the top 3 lines. It is also possible to get a 4th one, which will then get you an extra card that goes into your deck, hence a little bit of deck building that goes into this, which is really nice. Now, there's different colors. The orange hand here can allow you to open or close doors, and it can also add cubes to different crafting options, which you're going to have crafting cards up here, which will require certain amounts of progress each turn, or potentially faster the more orange cards you play. You're also going to have these green cards, which deal with your net running, your RAM. When you play one of these symbols for every symbol that you're able to activate, which would, again, just be the top one at the beginning of the game, but as you gain more skill shards, you'll be able to use more of these per card play. You're going to be able to move this cube over, and this cube is going to reference quick hacks. And then your blue is going to be usually how you heal. You have health over here, which is going to start on the 2. You want to go higher and higher. As you get lower and lower, if you take more damage, you're going to then get these damage cards, which will go into your deck. They are basically treated as dead cards that will go into your hand. Each character has 3 damage cards available. If they get all 3 of those damage cards, and then they take another wound below here, then all of a sudden then the game can end as basically a mission failure. And you probably want to restart, because we're not losing Jackie again. I'm not going to lose you again, Jackie. You are going to survive. You are going to go home to Mama Wells, and everything is going to be all right. So when playing the game, if it's my turn and I'm playing Jackie Wells, at the start of my turn, the first thing I'm going to have to do is attack or roll combat dice if there are any enemies that are within range of me. This means that they're either in the same room as me, or I have direct straight line of sight to them, and there's no closed doors in the way. Now, normally, for most characters, they're going to roll 2 dice. The black die is the enemy die, and this one can say how much damage they do to you. This might just be 1 damage they do to you. This was like a critical hit that sets you down to 0 health, regardless of how much health you're at. This one is 1 damage to you, and then an extra damage if you're engaged with more than 1 enemy at the same time. So it's kind of a variable, and of course, it can be just a little bit, or it can be a lot. So that's something to think about. And then there's also the character die, which is, your chance to do damage to them. This is a 50-50 shot because it's a D6, right? So you'll roll these. But Jackie, he's got a special thing that he gets a whole extra die that he gets to roll, and he has the double damage on there. So he can potentially roll more than one dice. He can max out at potentially 3 damage to an enemy and at the combat step. And this happens automatically. This is separate from your cards dealing damage. And this is kind of a bad thing in some cases because you can take damage as well. You could potentially be up to 4 health, roll this 0, and they get like a critical headshot on you or something that takes you down to 0, so meaning your next damage, you get a wound card. And you don't necessarily want to do that, right? So I'm going to start off here. Now, on my turn, I can then play 1 card. And maybe I'll play a blue card because I'm at the start of the game. I'm not going to have all those extra skill shards, so I'll just get the top, and this is going to give me a heal and a move. So I can heal 1 health, and then I can move out of the elevator and get started with the mission. That'll go down there. My turn is now over. I'm going to draw 1 card to replace the card that I just played, and we go to the next player. Did I mention that your rounds are timed? So this game has an app, and you definitely want to use this app. You don't have to, it's not mandatory. You can time the game, but this is a very cool thematic app. There's a character called the Seer that will give you calls in here, very similar to how you get calls in the game of Cyberpunk 27, the video game. You used a lot of the same fonts and graphic settings that you're going to see in the video game to make you feel very, very comfortable and appropriate. It's got sound. They'll brief you on missions and all of that. You'll build a campaign. You can save multiple campaigns. You name your team, say how many players, and you go to start the mission. And for however many players you have, you're going to have that much. That much time, and it's going to show it clicking down. You're going to have only a fixed number of rounds as well. So in this case, we're going to have 6 rounds, and then this is the amount of visual time we have left. And we're going to, however many players you have playing, you're going to need to play fast and pass to the next person, and then they play, and then you got to keep going. And that is adding a lot of stress and immersion into the game, because when you're playing Cyberpunk 2077, the video game, you get, I find I have about the same level of immersion. Now you can get extra time, but here it goes. This is just a little idea of how it goes. So you're gonna see this app, it's playing Cyberpunk 2077 music, and the clock timer is ticking down. If you need to pause and look up the rules, you can always pause it, look up the rules a little bit, and say, oh, what happens with this symbol? What happens with that symbol? Maybe I want to do a quick hack or what have you. But when your time runs out, it's going to say, okay, the round is over. Drop your cards, and you can potentially play, get cards that give you extra time, or maybe you've completed the mission, you can hit the complete mission button. And that's how that works. Let me talk about quick hacks, for example. Now, quick hacks are something that every character has available to them, and it's going to use RAM. We talked about this briefly with those green cards that are going to get you RAM, like so. Now, the more RAM that you have, the more quick hacks you can do. And the beautiful thing about quick hacks is you can do these outside of your own turn, which is really, really cool. For example, Jackie Wells, he gives you the ability to re-roll one of his dice or re-roll somebody else's dice, depending on how, if you spend 1 or 2 RAM to do this. Now, this is a way that makes this game not just where you're not just sitting around waiting for your turn when it's not your turn. It is giving you something that you can interact, like, hey, oh man, you missed that shot. Well, that's okay. Let me spend some of my RAM and make you be able to re-roll that die. Now you can get the die result that you wanted. Different characters have different types of quick hacks. This is V's, where it basically says when you're rolling both of these dice, you only have to roll the good die. You can just opt to not roll the black die altogether, which is really cool. Now, different characters, every character has their own quick hacks. There's extra quick hacks that you can eventually get as well, but this is your starting quick hack, and the more RAM you have, the more you can interact and support the team as a whole. And again, this doesn't count as one of your actions. You can do this on anyone's turn, and it's one of the few things that you can do in between. And having things that you can do on somebody else's turn is also really important because, again, you only have like 2 minutes per combat round. So you need to maximize your efficiency, and being able to kind of take a breath, pass to the next person, and plan when you're going to do this while you're kind of recentering yourself is a very good thing to do. So as you're moving through the board, you can step over these loot tokens, which are going to go on your character board until the end of the combat round. And as many as you do pick up, you'll be able to save all of those. You can open doors. You can try and get to these A, B, C, and D different markers. These are how you usually accomplish missions. Again, every mission is going to have its own requirement. It might be to do killing. It may be to do quick hacks. It may be to play specific colored cards, like play a red card in on the space that matches the color of that. Of course, different letters have different colors, so you may have to do a combination of physical and hacking and cool and so on and so forth. And you're going to be doing those in different rooms to accomplish your mission goals. Of course, while also avoiding these guards and or killing them, which of course you'll want to be able to do with your muscle and your snipers kind of working together, as well as playing the cards to do extra damage before they do too much damage to you. Your character also starts with bonus shard. A bonus shard can be used for any of the basic actions, movement, damage, ram, or opening and closing a door, or crafting. These will then flip over once used. If you are able to heal above 4, and you heal again, you can then flip over a bonus shard so you don't waste that heal. So then these become extra actions that you can do, again, available on your turn later on. These are really helpful, especially at the beginning of the game when you're only getting kind of one thing per card. At the end of a round, there's a cooldown step. You're going to see if you completed any missions. You're going to be able to flip over loot tokens that different characters have and say, oh, this is going to get me more cards. And there are special legendary cards that have their own decks, and you're going to be able to go through those and add a card to your deck that is going to usually be a little bit more substantial than the cards that you already have. For example, this one, if you're maxed out in a particular in red for space number 4, that's gonna be 4 damage. That almost lets you one-shot a guard, which is a very, very cool thing. Look at this one. This one does 6 damage, but nothing else. So it's just a big, hey, we're gonna do 6 damage. Well, I guess this one would do about 6 damage too, but you can spread those out. It has movement. Really, really fun, wild, and crazy stuff. Although I don't see anybody in the game yet that 6 damage would matter, since 5 is the most of the health that we have in the demo copy, which means there's probably some big bad baddies later on in the game. I can't wait to discover them. And there's different colors. There's different rooms. Every room's going to have kind of a different color. You're going to have different types of loot cards that you can get from those. You might get an extra skill shard because you can have a maximum of 3 of those bonus skill shards. You might get an extra stat. So you can get extra red and blue cubes that are going to go right here on your board, again, making your future actions and those future cards do more things, which is also really cool. Very fun stuff. All right, so that's just a brief look at Cyberpunk 2077, the board game. Make sure you check this out. If you want to learn more, there's going to be links in the video description below. We will be doing a playthrough here on the channel, so you can actually watch and see a whole mission played out. It's gonna be, I might be a little stressed because, again, with the real-time time limit, it's gonna be exciting. Now, after playing this a few times, I think it's actually really cool. Now, I'm not usually super big on cooperative games because it has sometimes cooperative games have this thing where, oh, well, just one player could just play all the characters and then it could just be a solo game. And while you can play this solo, adding more characters actually, and adding more people to do the thinking for you really helps because of the time limit. It is stressful. You do need teamwork, and having more people actually really matters. They're not just somebody taking an action that you need them to take. They actually need to do thinking. They need to plan things out so you can focus on what you're going to do and maximize your time, because you may only have 10 seconds left and you're hoping to get through like 3 or 4 more turns, and it can be very tricky to try and do that. So I like the tensity, the intensity, the tension, and everything that this game is bringing to the table. Plus, it's got beautiful miniatures, and it's got a thematic experience, and it's giving the opportunity to save Jackie Wells, which is also just fantastic. So if you're interested, check it out in the video description below. If you're still on the fence, stay tuned. We're going to be doing a playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077, the board game. We're going to run one of the missions and give you guys a first-hand look at what it feels like to play this game. All right, that is going to do it for today's video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Big thanks to Go On Board Games for sending this out so we could review it, check it out, and show you a little bit about it. I will talk to you guys later. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. The spice must flow, so say we all. And always wash your socks. See ya.